This is another podcast journey. This is one from Tara Van Gastel, otherwise known as Tara Brown, if you know her musically. And we're going to chronicleize her journey and what she's done since she started. And this is one's very exciting to me. I've worked with this lady. She's amazing. And I just wanted to get this on wax. So those of you who have been paying attention and been on my Insta and on my Twitter, because I now have a Twitter, then you would know that there's going to be an announcement today about a new series we're going to be starting and a new friend to the podcast. So stay tuned to the end to hear that information. All right. Thank you for all the listeners. Thank you. Keep sharing, keep liking, keep subscribing. And remember, I'm all over the place, which, you know, the announcement comes at the end. So anyway, take care. Much love. Peace. GM, the life coach. Hi guys, this is GM, the life coach. I'm here with my good friend Tara Brown. She's an amazing lady. And as you know, we've been looking at the Journey series. This lady has had an amazing journey so far in her life. So I wanted to document this journey because she is an amazing lady. All right. So how you doing?
I'm really well, thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
I am very excited. I'm very excited. I'm trying to hold it in, actually. But so tell me about how your creative journey started.
It started really when I was like probably about 7 or 8. I was at church, right, and there was a lot of music, and I loved music and I loved singing. And this one time the pastor asked for someone to come up, if you felt like you wanted to sing or something. And I remember as small as I was, I got up on the stage in front of everybody and I started just singing, right? I think I sang "Yes, Jesus Loves Me" or something like that. Mm-hmm. And that kind of was like the beginning of like, I knew like music was always going to be a part of my life. And then like my best friend Charmaine, she also liked singing, so me and her would always meet up, play outside. We'd always be singing. Like, we wrote songs together. The first song we wrote was a song called "Forbidden Love," and we wrote it when we were like 11 or 12 years old. And so it's like, you know, it was just like a natural thing. And then when I was like when I was 14, I performed at an event, and it was like one of my uncles are always, most of my uncles, a lot of them, they DJ. So they was having an event and they asked me to like sing at it. So I sang "I Want to Be Down" by Brandy, right? And then I got scouted by a producer that wanted to do work with me, and he had a studio in Clapham Junction. And he was like, I want you to come and do it, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So I was like, okay, fine. But my parents are like, yeah, she can do it, but somebody needs to be with her. Mm-hmm. So my mum and dad came down to the studio and checked it out. My mum was like, I'm not really feeling where the studio is located. It's like in the middle of Winstanley. No, it wasn't Winstanley. It was one of them estates. It was an estate in Clapham Junction, and it wasn't Winstanley. It was the other one near Battersea High Street. I can't remember what it's called. Oh, it's completely gone out of my head, but it was a studio in there. And my mum was like, I'm not feeling my daughter walking through the estates to get to this studio. And like, I'm not feeling, not being there when she's being worked with. So it was kind of like a no-go. Like, my parents are like, no, when you get a bit older, then you can do that, right? And I wasn't really feeling it 100 anyway at that time. And then the songwriting and stuff kind of moved into poetry writing. So at like school and college, I started writing poetry and started doing drama and acting at school. I did GCSE drama. And then things just, I don't know, any event that happened at school, I would be asked to sing. And I wasn't even part of the school choir or nothing like that, but I'd be asked to sing, right? So it just kind of just grew. And then when I got to like college, and I was writing and performing poetry. I was writing and performing poetry. Wow. Then I started making those poetry songs, a lot of the poetry I was writing into songs. And it was like when I was 17 when I started to really take it seriously. I started working with a guy called Jeff Darcy, producer. We wrote loads of fun songs together, recorded them, did a few gigs like in and around like Tooting and like local gigs. And I started to get a little bit of a following, and that's when I started to take it seriously. Then when I was at 18, I started university. And then at uni, that's when I joined bands. That's when I started working with bands. We started gigging, like getting like little getting like events and like getting like residencies at little clubs. So then we got a residency at Glass Bar in Piccadilly Circus. So that was like a weekly thing, and Spice of Life in Oxford Street. And so we go out and gig, and that's when I kind of got into that whole kind of vibe, you know. And I never forget a boyfriend I had at the time. For my 21st birthday, he got me studio time, and I recorded. How crazy is that? Like amazing. And I recorded this song called 21, and it's to this day on my MySpace. And it was like the first proper like recording that I did, like proper professional vocal recording. And that's when I was like, yeah, this is what I want to do. And then it was around about that time that I met Rob. And me and Rob started working together, and Rob is my guitarist. So you met him loads of times.
He's amazing.
And we just clicked, and we just had a vibe. So we just started writing songs together. And
how old was you then?
By that time I was about 21, 22.
Right.
And we just started writing music. Like we had like 30, 40, 50 songs, right? Just writing, recording, not even recording in his house, right? Because he had like a little makeshift studio in his house. So just writing, recording. And then like, it just, we then started doing loads of gigs, like loads of gigs in and around London, and just kind of building up that kind of like platform. And then this talent show was going on, and it was called Time to Shine. It was a gospel music talent show, because alongside doing all my solo music, I was always involved in church, in music in church, right? So gospel music always had a place in my heart. And there was a gospel music competition that was going on.
So was that the first time you'd done Time to Shine?
That was the first time I ever did Time to Shine.
Right. Okay.
It was called Time to Shine. It was the first time I ever did it, and it was really, really weird. I wasn't even going to go to the audition. Like, I remember waking up the morning of the audition just thinking, like, I didn't apply for it properly, right? I didn't apply for it. I saw it and thought, that looks great, but I didn't properly apply. Then Angie Lamar, like, who I'd been working with, so alongside, this is so hard now. This gets complicated.
That's what I'm saying. That's why.
Because alongside doing my music and alongside doing music at church, I also had an acting career, because I studied obviously drama at GCSE and A-level, but then I did a degree also in drama, and at the same time as doing my degree I was auditioning for shows. So the first major show I got was a show called Cinderella Shoeshine, and it was an MPV Arts production at the Magic Eye Theatre in Peckham. Right. And I got the lead role of Cinderella. I'm not even saying this right, because before that I had a few, like I did a summer project at the Young Vic Theatre, and I acted in that. Then I auditioned for Tallowa Youth Theatre, and then the following summer I did Tallowa, and we did a performance called Echoic in Goode Street. So that was like 17, 18, 17.
And these things are all happening concurrently as well.
These were all happening concurrently.
So music,
whilst I was doing
drama,
music, whilst I was doing
studying.
all at the same time.
Wow.
And then it was the director of Echoic that told me, that his assistant that told me about the auditions at the Magic Eye for Cinderella Shoeshine, and was like, we really think you should go, because like you sing and you act, and they need someone that can do that, because it's a musical. So I was like, okay, I'll go along down to the auditions. Went to the auditions. I wasn't expecting to get the lead role, but I got the lead role as Cinderella. And in this version, it's the adapted version of Cinderella. So it's where Cinderella is a character called Lucinda, and she's from Jamaica, and it's about her coming over on the Windrush in the 60s, right? Wow. So she comes over, she's Jamaican, she's with her brother, and then she obviously she's staying with the horrible stepmom and stepsisters, and then she dreams of a better life, and she ends up in her fantasy in New York, and that's where she meets her Prince Charming. And so I was the lead character for that, so I had to sing, act, and I also had to tap dance, and I didn't know how to tap dance before, so the director would teach me. I had to learn all the dance numbers.
Wait, you can tap dance?
I can tap dance, but I don't know how good my tap dancing is right now. But at the time, I had to tap dance. I was in my last year of uni by this point, so I was 21. And she taught me how to tap dance. I had to learn every single dance number in the show, so I could look like I've been doing this from birth, like all the other actors I was working with. And she was really great a great director. Her name was Teresa Early. Never forget her. She's still alive to this day. And John Boyega was also in the play.
Yeah.
So there's like a picture of us together, me, John Boyega, and a few of the other actors, because
I've got to see this
he
picture.
was young. I'm going to show you the picture. He's younger than me, obviously. He was like 15 at the time.
Yeah.
But he was a tap dancer.
Yeah.
So he was tap dancing. And it's weird because he didn't get the role for playing my brother.
Yeah.
So he was a tap dancer,
Yeah,
but his tap dancing is incredible.
Wow.
And he was like the with the tap dancing boys, you know, that tapped through most of the scene.
Yeah.
So that was good, and he was there.
And he didn't get it, but
he didn't get it.
That's
but
amazing.
yeah. How random is that?
Yeah.
And then that ran for a few months during that show, and then after that show was an audition for Do You Know Where Your Daughter Is? Now, Angela Marr, I grew up watching Angela Marr. I watched her on Rowan McCoy. Like, I watched her on TV, like, doing stand-up on TV. And I was like, when I heard Angela Marr was doing the play and she's casting, it was my last day of uni. I just packed up all my stuff.
Yeah.
And I was going down to this audition. It was an open audition, so it was open casting. And I was like, boy, if I can get to work with Angela Marr, boy, I'll be happy, right? And so I packed up all my stuff, went down to the audition, did the audition. I remember when I was leaving, Angela Marr stopped me at the door. She said, "What's your name?" And I said, "Tara Brown." And she wrote it down. She said, "What's your phone number?" And I gave her my phone number.
Wow.
She wrote it down, and she was like, "I'm really pleased to meet you. I'll speak to you soon."
Wow.
And I was like, okay. So in my head I was like,
I
got something. I don't know what I got, but I got something. And lo and behold, that night I got called. She said, "Tara, I'd like to cast you for the part of Teresa." And I ended up touring with that show for years. Like, we did the Soho Theatre, Hackney Empire. We did Edinburgh Fringe Festival. We went on tour for a month in Edinburgh Fringe Festival at the Gilded Balloon.
Wow.
And like, this was like all like the end of uni. So it was like, I was literally spent a year after uni just touring with this play.
Yeah.
And that's how I met Angela Marr. And so that's where we got our connections. Then after the year of touring, I wanted something a bit more stable. So I was like, right, I've got this degree in drama and English. I'm going to do my teacher training. So I started doing my teacher training. And then the same play, like Do You Know Where Your Daughter Is, had like another run in like Hackney Empire. So I'd literally spend the day teaching, jump on the train, go to Hackney Empire, get changed, perform all night. You know what it's like when you're acting, because afterwards, like, you're chatting to people after show, drinks and chatting and socialising and networking. Next morning, 6 a.m, boom, teaching again. Do you know what I mean? And it was that I was doing.
So
that.
this is about the time when I met you then.
This is about the time we did.
So you did teacher training.
Yes. Because I came to your school for the day, for like a day training with Nancy, because she was a sick
she was really good.
head of drama.
Yeah.
So I wanted to kind of soak up as much as I could from her. And so like literally that's how I met Angela Marr. And it was about a few years after that, that she was a judge on Time to Shine. And she said to me, "Tara, have you heard about this Time to Shine?" I said, "Yeah, I've seen a few advertisements for it." She was like, "You need to apply." And I was like, yeah, I will. But I was like dossing about. I don't know what it was. I think it's because there was a lull moment. Like, I'd spent so much time always on rotation, singing, acting. And then I got my teaching degree. I was still acting and singing. And then I had like a period of 2 or 3 years where it was like, I was doing gigs, but I wasn't doing much acting work. And I felt like, God, you know, what is my purpose? What's happening? Like, why is there this lull? And I felt like dissatisfied. Do you know what I mean? With how far I'd got in this space of time. I was proud of every single accomplishment, but I still wasn't where I wanted to be yet. Do you know what I mean? And I didn't see any opportunities for progression, because, you know, usually like when I feel like, this play is coming to an end, or this acting gig is coming to an end, what's next? I can see that's next, let me go and audition for that. It's like there was nothing next. I couldn't see the next audition. Do you know what I mean? So I was just like a little bit like you know, in a bit of a lull. And so I was just like, I'm not sure. I've seen this Time to Shine thing. I do like singing, but in my mind, I want to do another acting job. So I'm not really on it 100. And then on the morning of the show, of the audition, something in me I didn't want to go. Like, I didn't want to go initially. I was like, I just can't be asked to go, right?
Yeah.
But something in me was like, Tara, if you do not go, you will miss out on something.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like I knew that I had to, even though I didn't feel it, I had to be there.
Yeah.
So I picked myself up. I got ready, got the train, and it was far as well. I mean, it was like North London. You know, coming from South London. When you're a South London girl and you have to travel north, that's already